Hey, welcome to episode 245 of the Brave Maker podcast. My name is Tony Gapastione. My pronouns are he, him, his. I'm a Caucasian guy wearing a black t-shirt and yellow glasses today in my studio, which is a faux green wall with pink lights and the word Brave Maker in pink with sunflowers and a striped wall, black and white to my right. I am doing a solo pod today, a short one, just with some thoughts. We are 10 days away from the Brave Maker Film Festival. I just got up all early today, normally way earlier than I would because I had an interview for not a, what do you call it, like broadcast news agency today, but there was some presidential thing that bumped us. So I was like all up early, sitting here waiting, and the producer texted our publicist, Gardenia, and said, can't do it. Can we move it another time? So I was like, well, I'm already here. I got my hair and makeup did. Just kidding. I did not. But I'm going to do some talking because I have things to say. I always have things to say. Who doesn't? I just got off a week-long shoot in San Francisco where I was doing some stand-in work. And if you don't know stand-in work is where a person, doesn't have to be even an actor, stands in. They call them the second team for the first team, the lead actors, the supporting, the people who are the important characters in a show. In this case, the show is a documentary coming out on Peacock in a couple of months called Mr. Throwback. If you're in the Bay Area, you saw probably a lot of castings about this. Well, my friend Eric is a camera operator, because the show just wrapped, and he said, hey, I'm going to be in the Bay. They need some stand-ins. I was like, stand-in work isn't always as glorious or glamorous as you think. Well, maybe you hear that and you're like, does not sound glamorous at all. Well, you're right, because you're just standing around. And sometimes background work can feel like you are a piece of furniture. On my sets, that's not the case. I really try to value people in any way, shape, or form, because we can't do it without all the people, right? From the directors to the PAs to the background talent. On this set, I took it because I wanted to hang out with my friend Eric. I thought that'd be cool. And let's be honest, Steph Curry was a part of the show, and I thought that'd be interesting. There were some other actors that you would recognize their names or recognize them from certain different shows and that kind of thing. So I said yes to the stand-in work. One of the other perks is I'm SAG in the Screen Actors Guild. So when you stand in, you get a little pay bump. It's like 240 something, almost 250 a day, which after overtime and all the days that I did, I'll probably walk home with, maybe near $1,200-$1,300 after taxes. We shall see. But after being on set for so long, and we were on set 12-hour days, they were long. Sometimes there was a lot of things happening. There were over 300 background talent one day. And I got to see a lot of friends out there. So shout out to all the peeps that I saw. It was really great. But episode 245 here, I wanted to just talk a little bit about giving and taking in filmmaking. Now, I've talked about this before, bringing value to a set, bringing value as a maker of any kind, whether you're the writer or the director or an actor or the cinematographer or editor. My hope is for myself, I want to bring value to a set. I want to be helpful. I don't want to be an energy vampire. That's a shout out to one of my favorite shows, What We Do in the Shadows. But energy vampires are always like trying to take and suck, trying to get something. Like, again, let's be transparent. When you're a background talent, you're not always treated well. Like I said, you're sometimes part of the furniture, but you have this little hope in the back of your mind. I hope they see me and put me in a place where the camera catches me and I get my 1 to 3 to 4 seconds of fame. People can read that desperate energy. When I have been a director on the different sets, even, being on set this past week, there were people who I was able to have conversations with. Few people knew my film Last Chance, Charlene, and I had a couple people say, oh my gosh, I would love to work with you. I would love to audition for you. Immediately, that feels like it could be both a give and a take. Like someone saying, hey, I want to give you my talent. And that's just great. Yeah, thank you. Give me your talent. And that also could feel like a take, like that actor saying, what can I get from you? What can you give me, Tony? Put me in something. I need something from you. And I found myself in the same way as I was, meeting directors and actors and creators and showrunners of the show, finding myself in that similar space. Like, I want to meet them. I want to be able to work for them someday, work with them. But I got the feeling, I got the vibe pretty quickly that this is a business, you know? And that point, I'm a nobody. Nobody knows who I am. Tony Gapastione is just a stand-in. But I had to tell myself, I'm giving them something valuable. Like, the actors can't do their work unless I am there to do it, prep the camera team. The director needs me to be able to, point me around and say, go here," so his vision can come to life. So I had to tell myself, I'm bringing value. I'm giving to this set, even if I didn't feel, appreciated in that moment. I also tried to find other ways that I could benefit the set, like just being friendly to people, being friendly. I met the script supervisor, I met the script coordinator, I met two of the lawyers on set. I got all their names and numbers so that I can come back and utilize a partnership with them in the future, maybe invite them to our membership class. I found lots of different ways to give back. At one point, I was just being aware of safety issues, pointing something out to a PA or a grip saying, hey, that looks like a tripping hazard. It was really hard for me because as a director, I'm used to saying things like rolling or quiet on set, So at times I would even just kind of like shush people without being bossy because I wanted the set to be successful. I'm on as a stand-in, but I can also think largely and beyond my role. Now, I'm gonna be straight, keep it real. There were times when I felt super insignificant and insecure. There were times when people didn't even give me the time of day to look me in the eye because there's a high hierarchy. There just is on certain sets. There are people who go, "You are in your place. I'm in my place. Don't you dare think you deserve to be over here." I got that vibe for sure from certain people. I had to like brush it off my shoulder. Because again, that imposter syndrome, like I don't belong, could rear its ugly head. There's also something about like, well, people don't know who I am. They don't know what kind of things that I've accomplished, what kind of value I bring to the Bay Area. And I had to balance that, like getting overconfident and cocky and braggy to just being settled and accepting of myself in the moment and present to who I am. I found opportunities again just watching around. I was just watching the director, and I found out he is a prominent director who's had some significant films. And then, in fact, as I was looking and Googling, always Google, always IMDb people, I saw one of his films at Sundance 10 years ago. And so when it was appropriate, not when he had his hand in or his head in his iPad or he was busy, I just caught him in a moment like, hey, David, I saw your film. They came together at Sundance 10 years ago. I was in the audience. Like, really? Wow, cool. Are you a filmmaker? I was like, yeah. That was the end of the conversation. But just a moment where I could validate somebody else. Always see if you can find moments to encourage people, even saying things like, hey, how can I help you? Is there something you need? Could I make anything easier for you? Now, in some cases on union shoots, you shouldn't be touching things without being told to. But you can always offer. There was a moment. Here's two moments. Okay, anybody can do this. There was a time when there was a door that was locked for some reason, and people were going in and out. Yay, Belhika's in the comments. Hi, Belhika. There are moments when you can bring value, like, hey, just watch. Is there something that's bumping on set? Is there something that you could help out in any way? So there was a door that was locked, and people kept getting locked out. So they were shooting takes, and I would just be aware of when somebody went out. I would say, hey, this door locks when you go, just be careful. Or I would stand by the door, and at one point I heard a knock, 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 and I opened it, and it was the director. And because I'd already connected with him, I said, oh, hey, and I called him by name. People love to hear their names. I didn't get a thank you in that moment. It was okay, because I knew he was busy. He was trying to get to where he was going. But I felt like, okay, that's something else I can do. Now, here's the other thing. You never know who people are, okay? There were times when I had to tell myself, people don't know who I am or who I'm going to be in the future. I'm a nobody right now. But there were people who were connecting with me, getting my name, getting my number. And I was like, okay, you're smart, because someday we could be valuable to each other. There was an actor named David who knew one of our other actors who said, oh, I saw your film. Great move, David. He saw my film. He knew Allison Ewing, who was in Last Chance Charlene. And he brought some credibility to himself and boosted me, gave, instead of take, right? So then I said to him, hey, well, if you want to get involved in Brave Maker, I do auditions, sure, but I'm usually casting people that I know. I'm casting people who are in our orbits. I'm casting people who are already volunteering. Get involved in the film festival. And you better well believe at one lunch, when 300 background talent were there, I went around to almost every table, showed my phone, had people scan our QR codes, gave our business cards for the film festival. I was promoting my butt off because I'm taking advantage of anything I can, believing I'm giving to those actors. I'm telling actors, if you want to do more than background stuff, come to our film festival. And because Belgica's in the comments and watching today, I dropped your name, Belgica, because last year Belgica was cast in 3 different projects because she came to the film festival as a actor. So find ways to bring value. Here's another way. Okay, remember I said you never know who's who. Okay, I met all these key significant people. I have a whole list now of people I can invite into my Brave Maker Mastermind, which is on Mondays at 10 a.m. I met people from Peacock. I met people from Universal. Hello. I met a guy who was working at one of the sets he was a trainer because the film takes place in a lot of gyms and basketball auditoriums because it's about Steph Curry. I met one of these, really cool trainers who worked at this big facility. This big facility was like for the rich people. He even told me, oh yeah, you can't get in here if you don't make, a certain amount of money. It was so like, I don't know, what is it called? So, not the word's not important, but I'll call this a little old-fashioned old money. You couldn't wear jeans, like denim jeans, and you couldn't wear a hat. I walked into the lobby with my hat, and the security guard said, please take your hat off, sir. I was like, oh my gosh. But I met this guy, this trainer named Anzo. So shout out to Anzo. And I'm just talking with him. I invited him to the film festival. He was into the stuff and watching. And I told him about one of the films I worked on that had another kind of cool person. So yeah, come out. But then I'm getting on my phone, right? I'm like, oh, Anzo, do you have the Wi-Fi password? He's like, oh yeah. Hands me the Wi-Fi password. I'm like, great. So I'm on my phone doing my thing. I did a lot of work in between setups and stuff. Then check this out, bringing value to the set. This is what I think clinched it for me, solidified maybe some value between me and some of the higher ups who maybe didn't value me at first. I was sitting there on my phone and I heard these 2 guys who were pretty high up on the team saying, oh, what's the Wi-Fi password? I was like, oh, you need the Wi-Fi password? I just made friends with one of the guys who works here. Let me give it to you. And all of a sudden it was like I was giving away gold. That is exactly the kind of thing that people can bring value to, right? And I just said, here you go. Give it, here it is, and give it to you. And then I said, anything else I can do, let me know. So awesome. All right, so do things like that, y'all. It's a business. It's creativity and it's art, but it's also a business, and there is a hierarchy, and you got to be ready as a filmmaker who's just starting or emerging to keep that in mind, because you can easily feel like chewed up and spit out. And someone who's been around this business for 30 years, man, I'm still working on that. I'm still working on finding my value, believing I have things to give, and not always giving, but also trying to take. It's got to feel mutual. When you meet someone who's maybe a little bit more successful than you, we all want something from that person, but what can you give back to them? And let me also say this, let's not use the words, can I pick your brain anymore? I don't want my brain picked. It feels like, like there's sharp things going into my brain. You're dissecting my brain. I don't want that. That, for whatever reason, maybe it's just me, but that term triggers me. Find something else. Hey, could I take you out to coffee? Could I buy you breakfast? I love your work. Affirm people. I love this episode of your show. Oh, that movie was so cool. I would love to hear more, because I am making a movie similar, or I want to do this show thing too. And I think you would be a great person to, give me some insight. Give me insight, not pick brain. Okay. All right. Well, that's episode 245. Thank you, Belika, for being in the comments. I just realized I don't even know what day it is. It's Monday. So our mastermind is today. I'm recording this on the first day of July, which means our film festival is 10 days away. Our masterminds every Monday at 10 a.m. Our film festival is July 11th through the 14th. Go to bravemaker.com. If you buy an all-access pass, you can get into a raffle and win some amazing things from Belgica, like subscription to Backstage, 2 months of mastermind, membership from Bravemaker. You can get these amazing backdrops from Savage Paper. You can get, oh my gosh, a headshot session. There's so many cool things. Bravemaker.com. That's where you're going to find everything. Make sure you follow us at bravemaker.org for our Insta, and also at Bravemaker Film Fest. The tickets are $22 a film event and party and screening, but if you get an all access pass right now, they're $200, and it's like worth over $600 if you went to every single thing, which some of you want to. So do it. Hope to see you. Brave stories change the world, and you are the story. I will see you hopefully next week sometime. All right, I'm going to show you one more trailer for the Bravemaker Film Festival. Bye.
Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at bravemaker.org. Like, subscribe, and share. To become a monthly donor, text the word Bravemaker to 44321 or go to bravemaker.com/donate. Thanks for tuning in.